Another common question, how much money do you need up front to buy a house? Okay, how much for a down payment? How much for closing costs? Great question, and like everything in real estate, the answer is it depends. It depends on your goals. It depends on what loans you can qualify for. It depends on if the seller in your market or your price range is paying closing costs, okay? So let's talk about a norm, okay? One very common situation is a buyer's using an FHA loan, so 3.5% down, okay? So let's make math really easy. $100,000, that's $3,500, that's their down payment, okay? Most houses cost more than that these days, so just do the math there yourself. But basically, your closing costs for most buyers, say for a $300,000 or $400,000 house, are going to be an additional $8,000-ish, $8,000 to $9,000 in additional closing costs. So that's on top of your 3.5% down payment if you're using an FHA loan. A lot of times it can be negotiated for the seller to pay a buyer's closing costs. If they do, that takes a lot of your out-of-pocket expense away from you. Keep in mind that you're negotiating the seller to pay that, so they theoretically would have reduced the price that much, so you're kind of rolling it into the loan. It's one way to think about it. But as far as how much you have to have out of pocket, if you're going FHA, it's 3.5%. If you're going VA, it might be 0%. Some conventional loans can be 3% down at a minimum. Now, if you put down more than 20% with any type of loan, you get rid of what we call PMI or mortgage insurance. It's this additional charge that lenders have because you don't have a ton of equity in the property. For some types of loans, it goes away once you reach that 20% threshold. But if you start out with a 20% down payment, you're going to get the best interest rate and you're going to not have mortgage insurance. So it's just going to be better. Most people aren't putting down 20%. Most people are putting down somewhere lower. A lot of people go FHA. So 3.5% down payment, and then hopefully get the seller to pay your closing costs, and you're good to go. But it does depend on a lot of different situations. So as always, I recommend talking to a professional if you want to consider it further.